So Stormgate has now released in early access for a week ago or 2 weeks ago, was it?
Released out of early access, actually. Yeah, so we did our full launch on August 5th.
So how has the response from players and developers and from the feedback?
Well, there's always lots of feedback, some positive, some critical, but we've been very gratified to see some good review scores come in, both from media outlets like IGN, but also from players who really appreciate RTS campaign play.
So many strategy fans have been looking for that StarCraft moment or RTS big moment. So how are you trying to meet that expectations of audience that wants that experience?
I think StarCraft and StarCraft 2 are such historic franchises with so much behind them in terms of years of development and just scale that a company like Blizzard can bring to development. For Frost Giant with Stormgate, this has been a learning experience for us of what does it take as an independent studio to build a real-time strategy game. And I think we've accomplished a great deal so far. There's still a lot more that we would like to accomplish in the future.
So player feedback has been mixed, some positive, some negative, but in the recent period, it's been a huge positive trend. How so?
We really had to learn from our early access experience as developers and recognize that one of the challenges that was hurting us was trying to work on too much at once. And so we really narrowed our focus for this August 5th launch to just be on campaign and 1 versus 1 competitive. We did add some other AI skirmish mode as an example, the early release of our editor as an example, some other things to the game, but the main focus for us as a team has been campaign and 1v1, and that's enabled us to level up the quality of those. There's still more that we want to do, but I think this approach is much more practical for us as an independent team.
So I remember that Stormgate is built on Unreal Engine 5, was it?
That's right, we are on Unreal 5.
So what kind of technical solutions allows the game to deliver large-scale battles while still running smoothly on average PC?
Handling high unit counts in a network synced environment was one of the biggest challenges that we faced early on, trying to prototype out real-time strategy on Unreal Engine 5. I think Unreal has such a great set of tools for artists, for cinematic, like narrative storytellers, but ultimately the kinds of games that Unreal came out of are very different from real-time strategy games. So we wound up implementing a layer of technology that we call Snowplay that is its own network stack, but also its own game logic and tool set to author content that can run on that. Ultimately, the way that we handle networking is very different than Unreal. We are not a client-server solution. We are much more of a traditional approach to the way real-time strategy has been implemented in the past, where the data that we send to other players is actually the input data rather than trying to sync every single unit in every single tick of the simulation update. That's enabled us to achieve a much smoother and higher unit count experience that we need for real-time strategy.
So the Ashes of Earth campaign is the first part of the story, correct? Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah. Of a bigger, larger story. But what was the vision for the universe? And what themes do you want to explore through that Stormgate?
Ultimately, Stormgate tells both a personal story in terms of how our protagonist, Amara, deals with the loss of her father and deals with being confronted by circumstances that require her to be bigger than herself. But there is also this overstory about the consumption of resources and about the conflict that comes out of that, ultimately leading to a showdown between our three major factions of the human vanguard, the Infernals, and the Celestials.
So how many strategy games, real-time strategy games, that have a narrative might struggle a bit between combining the story, cinematics, and gameplay? And how do you manage to keep the smooth flow in Stormgate to keep it from the narrative and gameplay?
It's always a balancing act, and I think every game has its own struggle to find the right balance. We were very fortunate to get to continue to work with Mickey Nielsen, our narrative director, who also comes out of Blizzard and is familiar with what it takes to adapt story to RTS. We have a much longer range plan in terms of the story that we'd like to tell, so really hoping that we get to continue to develop more chapters of the campaign and provide players with a story arc that reaches the vision that we have in our heads.
So what's the biggest vision?
Oh, I can't spoil the end of the story.
But what do you see as the biggest technological challenge?
I think the biggest tech challenge for RTS is high unit counts, and that manifests itself in performance, it manifests itself in pathfinding. It also manifests itself in design, in as much as there are so many different units to both design and balance. I think that's at the heart of all of the technical challenges for real-time strategy.
So, Stormgate aims to support campaign, co-op, and competitive play. How will you ensure all three pillars feel equally prioritized and grow together?
Yeah, when we started out, we really were trying to grow them all together at the same time, and that was that big learning from early access, that as an independent studio, we just don't have the resources to cover that surface area all at once. And so we have deliberately had to take a step back and approach things from a more sequential development perspective. So our current goal is to obviously take the feedback that we're getting around what we launched on August 5th and continue to improve and polish that, but also to then move on to our 3 versus 3 mode, which we're hoping to be able to deliver in the fall.
So the final question. If you had to sum it all up, why should both veteran RTS fans and new players, completely new players, check out Stormgate?
Stormgate's a chance for players to experience a lot of quality of life improvements to real-time strategy that I think will appeal both to veterans and to new players, but also to be a part of the birth of a new game. And this is something that we hope will live on for many, many years, much like other games that we've worked on. And forming that story, not just from the narrative perspective, but also from the gameplay perspective, is something that this generation of players has an opportunity to do with Stormgate.
Is there something you want to add on that you want to tease or maybe add, or for new players that is the road ahead from Stormgate?
You know, this isn't necessarily a secret, but it's a thing that I think we're most excited about as a team. The editor provides a pathway for players to create their own content, and we're already seeing so much innovation come out of that. We're really looking forward to continuing to improve the editor and also improve the ways in which players are able to share content.
Is that the mode like that Sigma Labs? Is that correct? Was it?
It is in Sigma Labs, is the part of the game where we have our in-development pieces, and indeed playing content that users have created is currently available in the custom section of Sigma Labs.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.